Hi, this is a quick rundown on a camera that's available for rent from On 8mm. It's the Beaulieu 6008 Pro, and like all Beaulieu cameras, it's a professional Super 8 camera. It's fully manual and automatic and has a very high quality lens on the front of it. It's one of the later generation Super 8 cameras made, kind of towards the end of the line for Beaulieu. So first things first, it's similar in functionality to the 4008, but what it doesn't have is the glass focusing screen that you need to engage on the 4008, so that's all taken care of. So just running through the functions of the camera, if you look on the side here, you can see that it has filming speeds from 4 frames per second all the way up to 80 frames per second. It has a quartz sync motor, which you can either set at the back to 24 frames per second or 25 frames per second. And that was to get accurate filming against sound. So if you were wanting to record or film speech or a music video, this is very accurate for that. This dial here allows you to set the ISO of your film. So instead of reading the notches on the film cartridge, you set the ISO of your film here. Filming speed there. You can run the motor forward, obviously, and in reverse. And you could run it in reverse so that you could do things like lapse dissolves or double exposure filming. Best to keep it just in normal mode. Otherwise you might forget that you put it into reverse and film everything in reverse. The exposure meter has an auto setting here or manual. The auto on this is very good. It has a servo in this box here on the back of the lens, has a servo that moves the aperture on the lens, so it actually physically moves the aperture ring. When you focus on the camera, it's best to have the aperture fully open, and as with most motion picture cameras, you zoom fully in on your subject to focus. To that end, Beaulieu put a little button underneath the lens here so that when the camera is powered up, it fully opens the aperture for you, and then you zoom fully in. So that little button will fully open the aperture, ready for you to then zoom in on your subject and focus. To set the focusing, the rear focusing to your eyesight, the diopter control is here. It loosens off with a little nut at the back here. Then you'll want to zoom fully in on an infinite object, let's say a lamppost at the end of the street. You'll want to put the lens onto infinity, and then you'll want to turn the ring while looking through so that you can focus and get really accurate focus on the distant object. Once you've got that right, lock it off again so it's locked to your eyesight, and then you're ready to film and it's set up for your eyesight. To load the film, you push this button back here. The Super 8 cartridge goes in there like any other Super 8 cartridge. Push it back up, and this is important, push on the rear of the door to lock the door, otherwise it won't lock properly. So just push on that little logo there to then push the little switch forward so that you can lock the door. To power the camera up, similar to the 4008, it has a little switch here which you engage with the heel of your thumb, and that switches the camera on. And then on top here is the shutter release. Okay. If you're running the camera on a tripod and you want to lock it switched on, press the switch underneath with the heel of your thumb, and then you can just push this little orange switch across, and that will lock the camera in the on position so that you can then, if you've got it on a tripod, you don't have to keep engaging it with your thumb. This handle doesn't move, and I'd say it's probably not the most ergonomic filming position in the world, but after a while you do get used to it, and you know it's quite intuitive once you get used to the camera. The zoom control to your lens is there, focusing on the front of the barrel here. You also have zoom controls here for power zooming at the front, and this will change the speed of the power zooming, this little dial here. The lens also has a macro zone on it, so if you pull out the little handle on the zoom control and pull the zooming all the way to its widest, there is then a little yellow zone on the lens where you can film macro, which means that you can film very close up from probably around about 10 centimeters to a foot within that range. So that's 10 centimeters to about 30 centimeters. There is also on the back of the lens a little filter switch for an internal 85B filter, which is actually within the lens. So the 85B filter is an orange filter which is designed to correct tungsten film in daylight. So if you're shooting daylight film in the camera, what you want to do is keep that in bulb position. All Super 8 cameras were designed really to accept tungsten film in preference to daylight film. So in bulb position, that means that the 85B filter, which is an orange filter, is disengaged. With it moved over into the sun position, that means that the 85B filter is engaged. So that's an important thing to note, that if you're shooting a daylight balanced film, keep that filter in the bulb position. If though you are shooting a tungsten film like Kodak 200T or 500T, and you're shooting in daylight, you'll want to put that into the sun position. These little settings here underneath the normal position are intervalometers, so you could, say for example, film a plant growing and it will take a shot every 60 seconds, it will take one frame. You can set different thresholds for that. So if you wanted to do that sort of filming, that's all possible. But obviously for most requirements, you're just going to keep that in the normal position. And actually just one down from normal is single frame exposure for animation. The batteries, you put 6 AA batteries into a battery caddy that lives in the handle here. So you just unscrew that, the battery caddy comes out and you can replace the batteries, and it takes 6 AA batteries. And that's it for the Beaulieu 6008 Pro. It's a really nice camera. Like I say, once you get used to holding it and how it powers up and how you film with it, it's a really lovely camera to use and it takes great footage. So good luck using that.